Welcome everyone to another video from the Secrets of the Jedi canon book. For those unfamiliar with the video series, here I break down an excerpt from the Secrets of the Jedi canon book that came out a few years ago, which is basically written from Luke Skywalker's point of view, like a diary, where he wrote about almost everything, whether it be the different Jedi of the Republic or galactic events from before he was born. And once I finish the series, there are 2 more books like this that I'll get into next, so make sure to subscribe if that interests you at all. Let's get into it. The Force is possibly one of the most unique and well-known aspects of Star Wars. You start talking about it in public and people are going to think Star Wars. Odds are if you saw a Star Wars movie as a child, you dreamt of being able to turn the light on without getting up, or floating the remote over to you by simply waving your hand. The Force has been described in a variety of ways by a variety of teachers and mentors, but in its simplest form, the Force is an energy field created by all life that connects everything in the universe, and it resides in all living things. Despite not having access to all of the Jedi teachings, Luke learned about the Force from 2 of the greatest Jedi Masters ever, Yoda and Obi-Wan, and may have even been taught by other Force ghosts following the defeat of the Empire. In the passage, Luke talks about the Force, the light side and the dark, and what he knows about it. One can't begin to understand the origins of the Jedi Order without first understanding the Force, which is not an easy task. Because of its mysterious nature, there has long been a common misconception that the Force is merely a power belonging to the Jedi, and that couldn't be farther from the truth. The Force belongs to no one, yet it lives within all of us. It is life, death, rebirth, and everything in between. It is the energy that connects us all and binds the galaxy together. And like any great power, the Force can be used for both good and evil. While the Force may flow through every living being, not everyone can hear it. Those of us inherently inclined to harness the Force's vast energies must make a difficult choice to use its powers either for good or for personal gain. Those who steer towards the light side of the Force naturally tend to be peacekeepers. They want the galaxy to be a better place and will take selfless action to protect others and promote harmony. The light side of the Force is one ruled by logic rather than feelings. As such, the Jedi believe that a clear head makes decisions that benefit all, while a mind clouded by emotion makes choices that only benefit the individual. That's not to say that those who choose the light are without fault. We all occasionally follow our hearts instead of our heads, sometimes with disastrous results. But those who are committed to the light side are often able to find a way back to their true path, even when impulsiveness temporarily leads them astray. The draw of the dark side is strong, however, so a Jedi must constantly be mindful of its influence. Yoda, perhaps one of the greatest Jedi Masters of all time, once told me that a Jedi uses the Force for knowledge and defense, but never for attack. Those who can't resist channeling the power of the Force in aggressive ways are embracing its dark side, whether they intend to or not. In doing so, they reject the teachings of the Jedi and let strong emotions, such as fear, rage, and hate, rule their decisions. They use the Force in selfish ways, to control emotions and to cause pain and suffering. For them, power is the ultimate goal, and there is no greater power than the Force. Many good people have given in to their fears and fallen to the dark side. My father, Anakin Skywalker, was one of them. I too stood on that precipice, nearly unable to resist its seductive call. One wrong choice, no matter how well intended, can send a Jedi down the dark path. Using the Force properly is all about finding balance, and some Force users, particularly Force-sensitive children, known by the Jedi as younglings, are able to tap into its energy without an obvious alignment to either side. The Force simply flows through them in its purest form. Based on the constant struggles I've witnessed between the light and the dark sides of the Force, perhaps their innate neutrality can teach us all a valuable lesson. While it is relatively surface-level descriptions that most of us have heard before, Luke's take on the balance and neutrality of the Force is an interesting topic. While Grey Jedi aren't technically considered canon, I'd argue that Ahsoka comes very close to fitting the description. Although she may not align with either side, she still uses the Force to do good and to be a positive force in the galaxy. It's true that because younglings don't have as much of a grasp on understanding the world, they don't consciously align with good or bad, and I think Luke's acknowledgement of this is interesting. He sees the benefit in not choosing a side, but rather listening to the Force and letting it flow in its purest form, a belief that sounds similar to Qui-Gon. While his exile and ending of the Jedi were for the wrong reasons, it may have helped Luke realize that a Jedi isn't always what's best for the galaxy, but possibly putting a greater emphasis on listening to the Force. Imagine how different the events of the prequels would have turned out if the majority of the Jedi were like Qui-Gon, and had not become entrenched in the politics and diplomacy. I think it would be interesting if this became a piece of advice handed down to Rey whenever she decided to train a new generation of Force sensitives. Let me know what you think of this excerpt in the comments below. Remember to like the video, and subscribe for more videos breaking down the book. And remember to follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. Thank you all for watching, and remember, the Force will be with you, always.